guys, Meg here, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things self-development, mind-body connection, and real effective habit change. Today, I want to give you my 3 top reasons that you are feeling stuck. You've identified where you are, you've identified where you want to go, and you're feeling powerless to close that gap. Maybe you're procrastinating, so you're not starting at all. Maybe you are self-sabotaging, so you're canceling your actions out right at the beginning, and maybe you're even yo-yoing back and forth to where you've gotten a taste of what it feels like to have what you want, but you can't seem to keep it around. All of these things are tied back to the way that the human brain is designed, and it just takes a little bit of knowledge and education to start understanding how it works in a way that allows you to outsmart it. How can I know what I want? How can I know exactly what I need to do to get what I want and still not do it? We all know that the question is not just, how do I know what to do? In fact, we often trick ourselves into believing that we don't have the right tools or we don't know the right things to do when we could start with what we have, and it's really just a way for us to not start. You can know everything that you need to do and still not do it. And that's what it feels like to be stuck. So what are the 3 main reasons for feeling stuck? Number 1 is internal incongruence. Now let me explain what I mean by that with an example. So have you ever heard somebody say, a part of me wants this, or a part of me feels like this? When we have internal parts that aren't congruent, we're never going anywhere fast because they're pulling us in opposite directions. The interesting thing about where you are right now, maybe the things in your life that you're not so fond of, the ones that you want to change, is that you wouldn't have been here for a long period of time if there weren't some kind of benefit, some kind of payoff. It might not be something that you consciously want, but there is a payoff. So for example, you want to start that new business, you want to take that chance, you hate your job. What's the payoff? The payoff is the consistency and the safety of the job. You're gaining emotional security in some way. So one of the most important things to start asking yourself about a place that you feel stuck in is not just, what are all of the reasons I hate this? What are all the reasons I want to change it? But what is the payoff? What is the positive that I'm getting out of this thing? Because when you focus only on all of the things that you dislike about it in an effort to motivate yourself out of that place, you're completely ignoring the payoff. And when you ignore the payoff, you end up stuck because while you're busy going in that new direction, your unconscious mind says, what about this payoff that I need for safety and security? And your unconscious mind doesn't believe that you can have it in a new place. We are living under the paradigm of one or the other. I can have safety and security, or I can have my dream job. I can have the foods I love, or I can lose the weight, right? So when you're living in the paradigm of win-lose and your parts internally are split, you're either gonna self-sabotage right at the beginning, or you're gonna yo-yo back and forth, or you're gonna procrastinate and never really start because you can't trust that new situation. So internal incongruence is sort of like when you're trying to sit down and watch Netflix with your partner and no one can decide what to watch. You spend 2 hours scrolling through and then you just go to sleep. You don't end up at your destination because you're not in congruency with each other and you can't go anywhere fast. What we're referring to when we're referring to incongruence within the mind is usually the separation between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. So your conscious mind has identified desires that you want based on what you don't have now, but your unconscious mind has rules and regulations that have been totally ingrained throughout your life about what's safe and also what's possible, reasonable, ethical, all of those things. So it is true when you look at the manifestation community and they say that you can't manifest anything you don't have a belief system for. This is the truth. Now, interestingly enough, I ran an Instagram poll the other day and I asked people 4 main questions. The first one was, have you ever yo-yoed back and forth? The second was, do you feel like there are 2 versions or parts of yourself that you're moving between during this process? The third one was, do you feel like the good version of you is harder and takes more discipline, and that the version of you not moving towards your goals is more natural? To which the vast majority on all 3 answered yes. And the last question was, do you believe you can have it all? And the majority of people said yes, which leads me to believe that a huge number of people voted yes on the first three and also yes on the last one, which is a direct contradiction, because the reason we're going back and forth is that we don't believe we can have it all. If we believed we could have it all, we wouldn't have to choose one or the other all the time. When you notice that you're not moving forward and you feel stuck, figure out what the payoff of the current situation that you're in is, and then ask yourself, how can I get that payoff in a new situation that I want more? How do I have the food I love while being at the weight that I want to be? How do I have the safety and security while working the new job or starting the business? Because when we never ask the question, our unconscious mind assumes that it doesn't exist. There is no answer to a question that hasn't been asked. So ask yourself, how can I have it all? And that is part of creating congruency. The second reason that you might be stuck, which is related to the first one, of course, is what I like to refer to as away from motivation. Away from motivation is, simply put, when you are motivating yourself to take action by what you're getting rid of rather than where you're going. So an example would be, well, I want to lose weight. Why do you think like 1% of the people who lose a large amount of weight are successful or successful long-term? Probably because we are so focused on what we're trying to get rid of, that there's a process between the conscious and the unconscious mind that happens that cancels all of those actions out. A similar example would be, I want to make more money so I can get rid of debt. Making more money insinuates that you're going to get rid of debt. Don't make that your main goal, because then you're moving away from something. So it's not just that it's unproductive to put focus on what we are lacking, as you would hear in the manifestation community, but it's also that this starts a pattern within the unconscious mind that says, I have attached motivation to the presence of something I want to get rid of. So as soon as you get rid of that thing that you want to get rid of, your brain says, I want to continue taking action, I want to continue being motivated, so I'm going to have to bring about the presence of that thing again in order to do it again. So if your motivation is coming from extra weight on your body, what happens as soon as you lose it? You lose motivation and you bring about the scenario that you started with so you can do it again. What happens when your motivation to make more money comes out of getting rid of debt? As soon as you get rid of debt, you lose your motivation to make more money because that motivation factor isn't there, and then you're right into debt again to be more motivated. So you are creating a rule and you're communicating with the unconscious mind in a way that says, I take action and become motivated based on the presence of something that I do not like. And because we place such high value and emphasis in taking action and being motivated, our brain wants to follow through. So we are continuously bringing about and manifesting situations that we don't like, usually the same ones, over and over again. So when you are going towards a new goal, make sure that your motivating factor is going towards the goal. What are you gonna do with the new body? What are you gonna do with the new money? Not what are you getting rid of? Now, the third reason that you might be stuck is attachment to the details. We've probably all heard before that when we feel resistance coming into a situation that we're trying to create, it's best to sort of back off, get more general, focus on emotion, and just not be so specific. And there's definitely some validity to that. How do you know when you're attached to the details of what you're trying to create? Because it isn't just the obvious things. One of the biggest ways I have found that I have been attached is my worry about time. So whenever somebody asks you, especially with fitness, I've found, well, how long will it take? How long is this going to take me? It indicates a lack of faith. Faith is by definition blind. You don't need evidence to believe in it. And when we give ourselves an ultimatum with time, we are looking for evidence. So this is what happens unconsciously, because we don't know that we're doing it. But we give ourselves an ultimatum unconsciously that says something like, if I don't meet the man of my dreams by the time I'm 30 years old, I'm not going to meet him. Now, we don't know that we've made this rule in our heads, but we do know that as soon as we get close to 30, or we're 31, 32 years old, the panic starts to set in, the anxiety starts to set in, because unconsciously we set an ultimatum on when that thing had to happen by in order to prove to us that it was possible. The same goes for weight loss, right? If it doesn't happen in 6 weeks, there's a certain line we cross, we get to it, and we're like starting to doubt. I think one of the most interesting ways to be attached to the details is to be attached to time. When we give ourselves an ultimatum about how long it has to take, we are saying, if it doesn't happen by this time, it's not going to happen. We are searching for physical evidence to prove to us that it's possible. And that is the main problem with being attached to the details. Being attached to the details is sort of like a control mechanism for not having faith, not having belief, not having trust in what's coming. And you can snowball it off from there into a plethora of different mental health disorders like OCD and control freakness, which I have. All of these things are interrelated in some way. Being that attachment to the details creates issues with faith. What is it about these issues with faith that keeps you stuck and keeps that thing from coming in? Your reticular activating system is a part of your brain that filters out information in your environment. We can't process all of it because we don't have the capacity for that. But we do have filters, some of which are from society, culture, family, upbringing, predisposition, and some that we've wired ourselves unconsciously. For example, if I told you to look around the room and find all of the things that were blue, and then I asked you what was red, you wouldn't know. So when you're attached to the specific details of how you think that thing in your life is supposed to come in, you end up missing all of these other opportunities for that thing to be brought to you because it didn't look the way you expected. Remember that the goals and the physical desires that you have are symbolic in nature. That means that the thing itself doesn't matter. What matters is the way that you think it's going to make you feel. You want it because it's going to make you feel loved or powerful. If there was no emotion involved, the physical thing would not matter. So being attached to the physical details is not logical when you can have that emotional fulfillment in so many different visual ways. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed my video on the 3 reasons you might be feeling stuck. I'm going to be expanding into all of these different concepts in further videos. So if you want even more information on how to really align yourself and fix each of these 3 areas, that's what this channel is all about. So hit the subscribe button, comment, like, share, and I'll see you guys next week for another video.